Greetings and welcome to Technocracy Reloaded, Session 0. I'd like to thank you, agents at home and agents on the screen, for joining us as we delve into our Session 0 of the Technocracy Reloaded actual play. You may or may not be aware, there is currently a Kickstarter for Technocracy Reloaded, which is the occasion by which we are able to assemble this incredible cast of players and bring you this story. So if you have not yet done so, I would like to ask you to not only visit the Technocracy Reloaded Kickstarter, but throw as much money as you reasonably can and encourage all of your loved ones to do the same, because we have some stretch goals that we need to unlock. Before I get too far into all of that, though, first, allow me to introduce the agents who will be weaving this tale with us. Let's start. I'm going to go, I always go by some strange order that is, methods are known only to me. They're above your security clearance, audience. So let's start with Seder. Seder, please tell us who you are, what you do, and your pronouns.
Okay, you mean me, not my character, correct?
Yes, you. Yes. We are right now. We're just learning about the people. We'll get into characters in a minute.
And I don't have a character yet.
Which is
what this is all for.
This is what this is for.
Okay.
But yes, hello everyone. Sadros Fobrucado, aka that damn Mage guy. If you're at all familiar with Mage, then you've seen my name all over it, so I won't belabor all that. Pronouns, typically he, him, occasionally go by they, but that's not a hard and fast rule with me. And I will cycle it off to the next person.
Excellent. Next up on our list, Hiromi. Please give us who you are, what you do, pronouns.
Hi, I'm Hiromi. I'm one of the other writers on Technocracy Reloaded. I am not Q Division, but I'm kind of Q Division.
It's different than QAnon, importantly.
Oh my god.
That is valid. Oh. Yes, very different and much better.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Pronouns are they, them. I do a bunch of RPG stuff. I am also the Green Lizard Wizard on the Scarred Lands stream on Saturdays. So
I have a special place right here for Scarred Lands, which may or may not make Paradox easier on Hiromi for the remainder of this stream. We'll just have to see how that goes. Reality is a little bit more forgiving because of Scarred Lands. Excellent. Thank you so much. Next on our list, Jax, if you could please tell us who you are, what you do, your pronouns.
Oh man, so I'm Jacqueline Brick. I'm also known as Jax or Rufflejax. You can find me on Twitter under Rufflejax. My pronouns are she, her. I will likely be repping the New World Order this game, which I'm very excited about. You may recognize my work from Book of the Fallen. I am the only other author on that book apart from Seder himself, which I'm very proud of. I've also worked on Changing the Lost 2nd edition, Demon the Descent, Vampire the Requiem 2nd edition, and I did the safety rules for Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition. I almost said Vampire the Lost, and that would have been a really interesting crossover.
I play that.
But yeah, so you'll find me on a whole bunch of stuff.
Beautiful. And next on our list, Drew, please give us who you are, what you do, your pronouns.
Hey, I'm Drew Kindorf. Kindorf.
Really? You mess it up?
No, I'm enunciating and repeating.
That's appreciated. Thank you.
Yes. There will not be a quiz later. Don't worry about it. My pronouns are he, him. I basically just do Mage the Awakening, not Ascension, Awakening on Friday nights with the Occultists Anonymous, where I've been getting to be a player. And so now I'm playing Fridays and Tuesdays. It's only going to last for like another week, but I'm enjoying it. I have absolutely no Ascension experience. So any of you who are looking like, I don't know what's going on here, it's okay. Come with me. We will do this journey together. They told me I could do something about space, so I wore the appropriate shirt, and that's about it.
Beautiful. I love it. And last but most certainly not least, Abby, please tell us who you are, what you do, and your pronouns.
Okay. Hi. My name is Abby Ekenezer. My pronouns are she, her, and they, and them. I am a filmmaker, actress, cosplayer, a bunch of other things that I've too much to list. I'm here to meet new people, and I get a chance to hang out with two of my really, really great friends. So I am super excited about all of this.
Excellent. We're excited to have you. And you are also, I believe, new to Mage the Ascension, but certainly not new to tabletop role-playing. Is that fair
I'm
to
not.
say?
I actually just played a 2nd edition game last night and a 5th edition last week.
Beautiful. Awesome. Rock and roll. Well, I hope, I personally happen to love the process of introducing new players to a system. I always find that it's super fun, and I think we have a nice balance here as we have some veterans. It would be safe to say, as I look at myself and my fellow grade one, and we have some people who are new. So so I think it'll be a lovely balance. Oh, and I guess I should probably introduce myself. For those of you who don't know, I'm Travis Legg. I'm going to be the storyteller. I am a freelance writer, developer, and the programming coordinator for the Twitch channel.
Sexy motherfucker.
What?
And sexy motherfucker.
Oh,
Travis.
thanks. That's very sweet.
True.
Very
And
sweet of you to
also-
say.
Also writer and co-developer on Technocracy Reloaded itself.
I did do some of that as well. That is an accurate assessment. So what we're going to be doing with this episode is we're going to be discussing our characters' concepts, backstories, a little bit of how things weave together. We're going to be discussing the safety tools that will be used during this actual play, and we will be doing any sort of character creation that either needs to be completed or that needs to be tweaked. We did have full disclosure. I believe everyone in the audience has a sufficient security clearance. I just saw a note in the mod chat and I'm dying. Sorry. We did have a sort of session -1 last week where we hammered out some of the details, if nothing else, just to make this go smoothly enough that everybody could enjoy it both at home and on screen. So I guess without further ado, let's talk level of present development of your characters. I know that most of you have settled on a convention. That is correct. Is that fair to say? Excellent.
Yes.
Cool. And Abby, have you had an opportunity to look through the conventions?
I have very, very non-thoroughly. So it's like a broad idea.
Was there anyone that leapt out at you as being like, oh, this is really cool or really up my alley, something you really wanted to check out?
No, I love the idea of the hacker.
Okay.
Was Abel Fearmox, I believe. But I don't know. I was looking at so many other different ones. So I guess, it's just I was even looking at the Elementalist too. So I'm not sure.
Okay. Cool. Well, we can run through a couple of different options. And while we're doing that, I'm going to, or I guess what I'm going to do is I'm going to have everybody that does have their convention selected sort of break down what convention they're playing, why, and a little bit about their character. And if it's been established, because I know there's also been some sort of crosstalk in the email as we've been ramping up for tonight. If it's been established, any sort of back history that you might have with the others. So I'm going to kind of just go the other way around, and I'm going to say, Drew, tell us a little bit about your agent. What convention are you? Name, pronouns, any backstory connections with any of the other characters?
It'd be a really, really good idea giving my character a name. So I'm going to be doing that here in a second. For my own sanity, pronouns will probably be he, him. But yes, I am doing the Void Engineer convention, who is Space Marines and exploring the outer depths of reality and capable of teleportation, or at least that's how I started this. And then I didn't take any dots in correspondence. But yeah, basically he's the new kid on the block with a laser rifle and a gung-ho personality on stopping reality deviants and their effect on the masses. Capital M for you who are new out there, the masses.
Beautiful. I love it. And have you coordinated any sort of connection with any of the other agents that are present?
I haven't coordinated anything, but I did mention to Jax that if Jax isn't physically set up for combat, but is socially apt, where my character is not, that a crossover there would be. I am absolutely fine being the hired gun for the New World Order. Absolutely. I will stand there, look pretty, and shoot things when she points a finger.
Also,
Excellent.
like from that description, I just kind of like the idea of me going, "Oh, you're so sweet. I like you so much. You're like my little brother." You're going, "What?"
I
Okay.
I have that kid nature. I'm just saying. Put it in there.
Yeah, what?
Oh,
What's your nature?
Oh, kid.
Oh, sweet. That
Yeah.
works even better.
excellent. Cool. And that will bring us. And is there any distinguishing feature, note, be it a physical appearance thing or maybe a practice thing, a type of gadget you gravitate toward? Any sort of distinguishing trait of your character that we should sort of be aware of?
Generally speaking, he's very, very kind of low key, mirror shades, suit, continually super hungry and snacking. Like, did we just kill the reality deviant? Everything's cool. Cool. Hot dog cart. I'll be right back. Because, sorry guys, gene engineering has some downsides, and when you have superhuman strength and stamina, well, you get the munchies.
You need more calories, absolutely. I understand.
It's happy.
This is going to be fun.
Beautiful. And that will bring us right to Jax. So, Jax, just a little bit about your character, please. Convention.
I had Satyr help me build my character because while I have written on Mage, I've never actually built a Mage character before, so this is very exciting. But I will be playing Alison Green. I am a forward-facing agent of the New World Order. I am one of the people that the New World Order trusts to send out and talk to people in the unenlightened masses. It is my goal to bring as many people into a reality that they consent to, a consensual reality, if you will.
Excellent. And did you have a distinguishing feature, a thing that
Yes.
we will know you by?
So Alison has 4 dots in appearance. She also has specifically enchanting eyes. She's very, very good at making eye contact that you don't want to break. She also sort of carries herself like a natural leader. And even among the members of the New World Order, she's a bit of an optimist. She really sees the mission of the New World Order as building a utopia. And she genuinely sees it like that.
So an idealist, someone who
Yes.
believes.
She believes wholeheartedly in the mission of the New World Order.
An operative who believes wholeheartedly. Thank you for that gift. I appreciate it. How, if at all, are you connected with the other agents?
Well, as we've established, I am sort of an older sister figure to Drew's character, Guy, last name here.
John Johnson.
John Johnson, Hugh, man.
Is that an actor?
That would be Don Johnson.
Or Dwayne Johnson.
Or Dwayne Johnson.
Don't forget The Rock here.
I am also connected to Sater's character. Sater was one of Sater's character, who I don't remember her name, but he'll get to that. Was one of my first team members.
Okay, excellent, beautiful. And coming around next, Hiromi. Let's hear a little bit about your character. Name, pronouns, convention. Thoughts on your
I am going to be playing Toshiko Higa. She is she's Okinawan Japanese, which, thanks to the backstory that I built in through Gods and Monsters, means that as soon as the Technocracy decided that they wanted to recruit her, they took her off of the island because the Technocracy does not exist on Okinawa.
Because colonialism.
Very good.
Yeah. She is a member of a faction that doesn't exist until Technocracy Loaded comes out. It's Disputed Data. She is a member of the White Dragons. So the 5 Elemental Dragon. So long story short, the 5 Elemental Dragons got a reboot in the form of Disputed Data section that I wrote, because if you know anything about Asia or Asian culture, none of the existent stuff makes sense. Like, at all. Like, straight up, one of the factions is the name of a Christian rebellion.
What? Nice.
Yes.
Asian fetishism, that never happened.
So anyways,
This is
the
really
short
good
version
coffee.
is that the White Dragons are one of the names for this group, because Asia is a multilingual region. The world is a multilingual area. And they are the part of the or they're part of Iteration X, or Iteration X is part of them, depending on who you want to talk to. So Toshiko is going to be the gadget girl, because I fucking wrote them. I want to play with them.
I feel like this is kind of required. Like, if you write it, it's because you love. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean,
Awesome, and I love it. Do you have any any sort of connection that you're imagining to the other characters at this point?
Being a I feel like I would have, or Toshiko would have worked with Drew's character at the very least, because she field tests gadgets, and some of those gadgets are guns. And so maybe we need more data. Void engineer, come over here. Here's a big gun. Let me strap all of these electrodes on you, so
Yes,
that I can monitor exactly how this works for you, and the psychological processes that are happening in your brain at the time. So I want to optimize this gun to work.
Beautiful. I absolutely love it.
Probably also would have had some crossover with Jax's character, but we'll flesh that out.
Yeah, Jax's character does have a bit of a pet that someone who's a bit of a technician might be able to help with. but we can get into that in a
Oh
minute.
yeah.
Yes, Allison has a bit of a problem. See, she has nightmares occasionally, and she doesn't really know how to handle those.
Well, that's also true as well. So moving along then, Seder, please tell us who you are playing, their convention, and their pronouns, please.
Marx is a syndicate enforcer with a lot of secrets. And the only person in the group who is aware of what those secrets are is Jax's character, the more or less team leader, who is Marx's supervisor. The other people would be aware that Marx is on amended society, but they don't know why. They just know that she's in trouble for something, and they don't want that to splatter all over them too much. That being said, Marx tends to have a very forceful personality that she is trying to rein in because it's gotten her in trouble, hence the current position. Those who have seen her in action recognize that she is a formidable hand-to-hand combatant who is also who's also disconcertingly good at reading and manipulating people. But the reasons for why that is are not clear yet.
Excellent. I love it. And so I think our first order of business is going to be, let's get, I guess our first order of business should be, we have had a relatively at length discussion during our session -1 about our use of safety tools and what we would be going with. We had chosen to go with the basic lines and veils tool, but also having a physical representation X card as well. So everybody, all the players can make yourselves an index card, or just even have a piece of paper that you can hold up and display in the event that you need to just, kill a scene right quick. That's going to be the easiest way I'm going to be able to clock it. Having said that, I know that not everyone in the universe is familiar with safety tools. I had some learning to do about lines and veils. So since one of us has literally wrote the book on it more than once, I was going to have Jax, if you don't mind, kind of break down how that is going to function on this stream.
Oh, goodness, I'm flattered. Well, first off, we're doing a set of lines and veils. For those of you who aren't familiar, Lines and Veils was pioneered by Ron Edwards and I believe the 1998 book Sex and Sorcery, which is specifically a book on dealing with demons and sex in the indie RPG Sorcerer. The idea behind Lines and Veils is that lines are things that will never be addressed in-game ever, not even hinted at, not something that will be talked about as happening off screen. It's just, this does not exist in the game universe and we will not address it. Veils, on the other hand, are something that can happen off screen. So a very, very common line might be sexual assault, whereas a very common veil might be graphic sexual description. So your character might have like a raging consensual orgy, but it'll never be described in detail. Our other safety tool is the X card, which was pioneered by John Stavropoulos. As Travis explained, it is a simple card with an X on it. I don't actually have paper in front of me, but that's okay because it's session 0 and I don't expect we'll be X carding anything. But basically what it is it's just a card with an X on it that is on the table. And if at any point you are uncomfortable something happening in the scene, you tap the X card and say X card, or you just say, I'm X carding this, I'm uncomfortable with this. The idea is that you can stop the scene and either delete what's making someone uncomfortable or work around what's making someone uncomfortable. Safety tools are not the end-all be-all of safety at a table. Of course, people can make mistakes with them. They're like any other tool you use. They're not necessarily, they're not 100%, but they do open a way for us to have a discussion about each other's personal safety and comfort, and that is their primary value.
Beautifully said, thank you. And having said all of that, aside from our the areas that are covered by our lines and veils, just so that the audience is aware, like all programming on this channel, it is being produced by grown folks, and we will probably deal with a few grown folks themes. Be advised that our bumpers are going to largely be the comfort of the players on this screen in the terms of service of Twitch. So if at any point it gets to be a bit intense, as much as I would love to tell you to just breathe and repeat to yourself it's only a movie, do feel free to, back out if something gets creepy. Don't worry, we're not gonna, take it personal. While I'm on the disclaimer portion of the show, your mileage may vary. The reality you experience during this show may not quite gel with the reality you experience at your own table or the reality you experience when reading Technocracy Reloaded.
Can I interrupt real quick?
Oh, absolutely.
Drew, you had our lines and veils document. Is that something you would be okay with posting in the chat? So
if everybody has filled it out and is comfortable with it, I can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Sweet. So Drew's going to put that together so that you can actually at home take a look at what we're going to be working from for our lines and veils, and kind of see how it's assembled and the way that it's done. Which also isn't necessarily again, the be-all end-all way. If you need to, one of the cool things about these tools is if you need to tweak them at your table to make them work for you, you can. Nobody's going to show up and elbow you in the face and take your copy of Mage 20 from you and run out if you shift the way these work. Yeah.
No laughing people with the Chihuahua killer.
Yeah. You could really. You have to hit someone below the knee with Mage 20, otherwise it's assault with a deadly weapon.
People watching this who haven't seen it yet, this is Mage 20.
Yeah.
My best friend Inky calls it the Chihuahua Killer because it weighs 7 or 9 pounds or something absurd like that.
It is a bit tomey, but
it is a capital B book.
It is. So yeah, having said all of that, where do we need to go next? We need to make sure we've got Abby covered for a character for sure.
Yeah.
And we need to start sort of weaving in a couple of things about the world, right? We had a brief discussion regarding whether or not the Avatar storm has occurred. I don't recall if we ever landed on did we land on a resounding no, it has not?
That was pretty much.
Yeah, more or less.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, because I want to make sure I wasn't imposing my own will on the group.
Melody deviant.
That's what Mage is all about.
I'm control. I don't get to. I'm never a deviant. At least from 8 to 10 on Tuesdays.
That friend.
So I keep forgetting, and I will ask the indulgence of the audience. I know some of you are longtime Mage fans from the 90s, and others, maybe this is your first encounter with Mage 20th. So I'm really trying to make sure I'm explaining enough for everybody. In Mage 20th Anniversary Edition, it addresses 3 previous editions worth of metaplot, but it is presented itself as metaplot neutral. As you are diving into Technocracy Reloaded, you'll see these things are sort of developed further, some of them taken to their ultimate conclusion, and some of them have very direct impacts on certain player conventions, like, for example, the Void Engineers, who effectively have 2 entries in this book because one of the events was so catastrophic that it altered their convention drastically. So coming to the decisions about what some of these events are going to be is vital in us figuring out what kind of a story we're going to tell. But we have all sort of agreed no Avatar Storm, so that's a fun bit. So we should maybe be thinking about what sort of beats we want to make sure we're hitting in these episodes that we have together while we're sort of working Abby through her character. So you had mentioned an interest in the reality hacker sort of concept, right?
Yeah, I think I was leaning more towards the witch than anything.
Okay.
You were looking at Mage Made Easy, right?
Yeah, but I'm looking at the 20th anniversary too.
Okay, yeah, because the concepts in Mage Made Easy for almost nobody who's seen Mage Made Easy yet, but I'm working on it to hopefully get it up on Storyteller's Vault within the next month and a half. Mage Made Easy gives you the option of discarding the meta plot and the groups completely, and puts in its place several dozen concepts. And
Right.
what Abby's referring to are the concepts in that, because I had sent Mage Made Easy to the people in the group, but I hadn't made that part clear.
And it's a very cool take on how to sort of remix your perspective. Now, so if that is something in terms of what about that reaches out to you, Abby, I guess would be the question I'm asking. Is there anything particular about that concept that kind of trips your triggers?
No, I think it was just, the magical abilities. It's just really close to what I usually like to play. So I think that was something that was a little bit more in tune to like what I'm used to.
Okay.
Well, what do you usually like to play? What do you usually like to play?
Cleric.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have our
Usually
progenitor.
cleric.
I found the progenitor.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Knew it.
One thing that could be very
I would take those
interesting.
lives in my hands.
Well, then
I appreciate that. Yes.
Then you should definitely look at the Progenitors Convention. And I think to get to some of the essence, right? So the overall purpose of the Technocracy is to define one solid view of reality, to keep it safe for the masses, and to ultimately then within that safety they will be able to rise to ascension. At least that's the highbrow goal. One of those things is eradicating such things as superstitionism and faith healing and magic. And instead replacing it with enlightened science. So getting into like the concept of playing like the cleric type of character who's kind of a support healer, holds the lives of the others in the group in their hand, that would definitely fall heavily into the progenitor convention, which their focus is on life procedures, i.e. medical science. So taking that to an extreme where the science is so advanced that it is indistinguishable from magic.
Hypo sprays and anything you've seen on Star Trek with a wave the hand over it and it fixes itself.
and cloning and all sorts of, or creating new hybrid creatures that you may come across in Technocracy Reloaded. There might be one or two.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cybernetics, drugs, biomods, medical procedures, body modification.
Because at its core, what you're doing, what Mage does is you have reality divided up into these 9 component pieces, and your mastery of those components and your enlightenment basically dictate how strong you can be, how strong of an effect you can create, but your paradigm, your belief structure dictates what sort of an effect that can be. No technocrat is going to chant, wiggle their fingers, and throw a fireball down the street. But a technocrat might absolutely pull out their standard issue sidearm, make a few adjustments to its safety settings, and launch one hell of a bullet.
Oh,
Or a fireball. I mean, dragon's breath rounds are a thing.
I mean, it's how this bullet just happens to be explosive.
mhm.
I mean,
Yeah.
I have a specialization in, or not specialization, I have a lot of dots in energy weapons. Just saying.
But Abby, did you ever get a copy of the Book of Secrets, the one with your the character inspired by you in it?
I believe that got sent
I got a
along.
copy, but I never. No. Oh my god.
Yeah, because I remember talking to you about it back when I did it. And I thought I'd sent you a copy of the PDF.
Wait, is that the first time that she's seeing the character that she was the art model for?
Boy.
That's
Yeah.
adorable.
So this part here this part here explains the how magic works
In the
for this
world.
particular character. Yeah.
Okay.
The chapter that she's in is specifically about focus. Focus is the way in which a mage character does what they do. It's basically boils down to why do you believe that you can do this? How do you do the things that you believe you can do? And what things do you use when you do the things that you do?
Right.
Okay.
Like, again, Drew's character has a specialty in energy weapons, whereas my character has a specialty in making very intense eye contact.
And
Right.
my character has a specialty in beating the crap out of people, or beating the crap out of people, including herself.
And see if to break it down, like saying that I guess saying you went with a progenitor, right? And you had a certain level of life magic that allows you to heal other people. You would use the hyposprays, pills, sutures, tools of medicine, whereas a verbena, who is one of the tradition deviants, would use a ritual, perhaps some of their own blood, or a dagger, dance, dancing, skyclad, and chanting. You would use the same systems. You'd roll the same things. It's kind of like, if for a D&D reference, it's how a wizard can cast a spell, a cleric can cast a spell, but narratively they're going to be approaching that same spell very differently. If
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Oh, so Abby, because you probably haven't seen this yet, what Travis was just describing is the character I based on Sandy.
Oh my god. I saw a photo of that. I remember that. And I absolutely love it.
Yeah. But yeah, that's basically, Sandy, how Sandy does what she does. That character just kind of takes real life Sandy and goes,
Yes.
So
Yeah, I'm kind of in love with that character a lot.
thank you, me too. So much I married her.
So if progenitor sounds workable to you, I certainly don't want to paint you into a corner, but if progenitor sounds workable to you, that would be interesting, because we would have effectively each convention represented, to one degree or another.
Okay.
In each area of
Don't
specialty.
back me into a corner. No, I think I like the idea of that.
Beautiful, rock and roll.
Yeah.
And that also opens us up to some cool ideas in terms of what might have brought this group together on an assignment. What would require such a diverse group of conventions to work together? As it's not often the case that a group of field agents will be drawn from all of the conventions, or even from above and beyond, outside of perhaps the normal operating parameters.
We're expendable.
Yeah, I
That's-
was gonna say nothing
yes.
is good when all 5 conventions are. No.
My character literally has the flaw expendable.
Oh, beautiful.
Oh no.
That will make things easy. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about brass tacks and moving dots around and things along those lines. So while I am going to sort of do a quick review with everyone about where you've placed your dots and kind of what you've purchased, would someone who's faster than me and not like talk and type at the same time type in the very basic or just the page for Abby to look at for how she can allocate her dots for character creation, so she can pick those out. And it's
250. Page 250.
Is it 250? Thank
Pretty
you.
good.
Yes.
You beat me to it.
I have a working doc of all my reference pages from when I was making character creation.
I'm old school. I have it right next to I have it within grabbing distance. I lift up physical books and pull and strain my arm.
Right, there you go.
I literally just called Seder and was like, help.
So yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to speak up about them. But basically what it boils down to is you have a certain number of dots in each section of the character sheet, which you can spend to purchase. And most of those traits are pretty self-explanatory, but if you have a question about how something works, by all means ask or look at it in the book. 1 second. Excuse me.
Yeah, and Abby and Travis, I can walk you through it when we're not live if you want.
Yeah, no, I think I'd like that. I think I have that already. The page interactive.
Yeah, yes. The interactive character sheet will be really handy because you just click on things, and they happen. And so yeah, we can also build into that a little bit. And if you want to just maybe even take notes about concept while we're doing this too, if you have questions, by all means, feel free to speak up about them. Especially if I'm talking, always feel free to cut me off. So speaking at a nuts and bolts level, Seder, why don't you give us a look at marks?
Okay, as in you want me to go through the character sheet?
Yeah, just let's break down kind of abilities. We don't necessarily have to read like specific dot levels, but if you want to even maybe just read prioritizations.
Okay.
You know?
I heard you say marks, and I was like, oh, we're getting here already.
The void engineer will step out.
Yeah. Her. Well, like I said, there are secrets, and Travis, I leave it to you as to how much of the background to share with the other players. Like Jax has the write up because
Sure.
Jax's character.
Oh,
What?
no, I was saying, sure. Realistically speaking, if there's, feel free to obfuscate whatever you feel you need to obfuscate for the purposes of drama. And let us know kind of just basically what your build is mechanically.
All right.
And if there's anything that is new to Technocracy Reloaded or that gets a little bit of extra shine in Technocracy Reloaded that came into your build, feel free to highlight that as well.
Yeah, I didn't employ anything from Technocracy Reloaded specifically in terms of the game system because I wanted whatever we were using to be things that the audience could follow along with, without having the book that's not finished yet.
Sure, that's fair.
Marx's primary attributes are physical, and with a secondary and social and mental as a tertiary. As part of her amended society and her punishment for screwing up, some of her things had gotten a little bit rearranged between her previous life and the life as a frontline operative, which she has recently been completed frontline training and conditioning, and this is her first field team. She suspects very strongly and is probably right that it's also meant to be her last field team, and she thinks she knows why that is, but she's not sure because there are several what she was initially told why the reasons for why she was told she was being punished this way don't all add up. And she knows there's more going on. She's trying to figure out what it is and who, from behind whose back, which knife is going to be coming first.
Wonderful.
But her, thank you.
I
Her
love it.
primary, again, her primary physical attribute is dexterity. She's very fast. She's very fast. She's very strong, and she's very, very tough. This is the way she was raised. This is the way she's been conditioned. And through the course of the game, it will become obvious, or more obvious anyway, why that is. She was also, however, raised with the idea of dominating social situations, not always and frequently not in an aggressive sort of dominant way, but more in a manipulating people sort of way. And so her primary social characteristic, which is very high, is manipulation. Her looks now are not not particularly unusual, but this is a new look for her, and she's not quite, she actually doesn't like it. Cosmetic alteration was part of her punishment, and so she's still adjusting to her literally new face. And charisma has been dropped down significantly as well, so she is compensating for the physical changes and the emotional changes involved in all of that by becoming more forceful than she had been before.
If I may, real quick, how damaged would you say she is by not recognizing that face in the mirror every morning?
Fairly significantly. She tries very hard not to show it. She's not, in a puddle going, "Oh my God, my face! It's not my face." It's something she keeps very, very quiet. But in terms of the way that it affects her from a storyteller standpoint, it's bad, because this is the person she sees in the mirror is not the person she spent 20 years being.
Right.
And her body is the same, because if they had manipulated, if they had adjusted that too much, she would lose the thing that's most valuable to them, which is her physical ability.
Right.
If you train a fighter and then change their body around, they're not a good fighter anymore. And hand-to-hand combat is specifically what she was trained, what she is still trained in doing, both as a physical weapon, and more importantly, from the perspective of how she was trained, as a method of intense self-perfection.
I love it. I love it.
Thank you. On that note, her primary talent is athletics, and with a specialty in endurance, because that's what from childhood, she's been raised with. That you've got to be the best, you've got to be the toughest, you've got to be the fastest. You cannot show weakness ever, unless that weakness is a tool you're using to manipulate someone else. So that's her primary, her primary physical talent in that regard. Again, her mental stats got a bit messed up. Her perception is down from what it used to be, because she's damaged by this. She's damaged by what's been done. She's damaged by how blindsided she's been, and so her perception is unusually low, simply because it's almost, she's almost literally punch drunk from what's been done.
Cool.
Her intelligence is average. She's smart, but not incredibly, but not a genius. And her wits are like that because they have to be. They've always had to be.
Excellent.
Thank you.
And from a background's perspective,
her primary, she's been cut off from almost everything that she had up until fairly recently. Her backgrounds are mostly avatar / genius, an alternative identity, which she still has access to a certain degree, but it's not the person she was before, and requisitions, because for all that has for all of the treachery that's been inflicted on her, she has friends in strange places. She's just not quite sure where they are, and one of those friends gave her one of the most important, actually her single most important possession, a suit of Falcone street gear, which is
excellent.
2-point wonder, which cost 4 background points, and I compensated for that in the freebies. But it's a 2-dot wonder, and that essentially is a set of clothes that always looks good, no matter what happens to it. And that's a big part of the impression that Marks conveys as well. No matter what you do, she still looks good. No matter what she survives, she still looks good. Not good in a, hi, I look good sort of way, but in a, next.
Right. There's unflappable. No shaking marks.
Yep.
From a perspective of enlightened science, what are Marx's strengths?
Marks is relatively, she is experienced enough and enlightened enough to have a small degree of control, but her primary abilities are more physical and social, not magical. Her enlightenment, her arete is 2, and her spheres are at 2 each. Life, partly because that's one of the first things that she's led to that she's led to read and understand in others, and partly because she uses it in keeping herself going.
Right.
Mind, which is being able to read people, being able to read and manipulate people, as well as to protect herself from psychic manipulation. And prime, because as any good syndicate operative knows, controlling the flow of energy and the concepts of energy are the most important kind of control of all.
Absolutely. And I love it. It's amazing. I'm here for it. Are there any details, information, things about Marks that you feel the rest of the group should know, the audience should know? Anything else that you feel you need to share before we move along to the next player?
She has 1 merit and 3 flaws, and all of them are pretty obvious to anybody who spends any time with her. The merit is too tough to die, which is essentially, okay, bring it. I'm still here. I'm still here. I'm still here. The flaws I mentioned earlier: expendable, failure, and she's got family issues, which is one of the reasons she's in this position.
I love it. Cool.
And the rest of that is stuff we can cover in game, in terms of her impression, physical impression and so forth.
Excellent. Cool. Let's shift it along to Hiromi. You want to give us the brief overview? And you're gonna have to forgive me. I'm not always great with remembering character names. I try to use them as much as humanly possible. It was what again?
Agent Higa. Her first name's Toshiko, but
Toshiko?
But
she goes by Agent Higa?
Higa.
Higa. I will do my best to recall that. I've heard Sater say Marks 20 times before we went live, which is why I remembered it.
And it's also Marks.
Right.
There's that. Yeah. Confusingly, as I was working through her in my head, I keep saying Toshiko because that's her first name, and she's my character, so of course I'm familiar with her. I have that social closeness that I can call her Toshiko, but the rest of you are probably Agent Higa.
That's fair.
Because that's how names work when you're Japanese.
Excellent.
So, as you might expect, her main attribute is intelligence. So, she's a scientist, she's a researcher, she's a field researcher and a field tester, but when it comes down to it, she needs to create test parameters in order to successfully gather any data. So that's a lot of grunt work intellectually. So she has 4 dots there. She would have 5, but that would mean that she's less likely to notice that maybe something is on the verge of exploding or that she's on fire. So wits and perception get a little bit of a bump.
Good things to be able to notice, yeah.
Yeah. She's also a jogger, so the physical stats got the second tier. I didn't want to give her 2 dots in strength, but I didn't want to give her 4 dots in anything else. So I didn't feel like 4 dots in any of the physical stats was appropriate. So
Okay.
she's been hitting the gym a bit.
That's fair.
She has all the knowledges. Well, not all of them. I wish. I just don't have enough freebie points.
She's working on it. She's working on it.
Her big thing is, of course, science. I haven't picked a focus for that. It'll probably be something in the data science area, which might mean that I should pull a dot from that, stick it in computers, and then say data science, because that's more closely tied to computers these days. But I mean, that's a dot here or a dot there. It's kind of the same thing. For backgrounds, she's the gadget girl. So, 5 dots in requisition.
There it is.
Love it.
Hey,
Love
But
it.
wait, there's more.
I'm ready.
4 dots in secret weapons, because
Oh.
all is just experimental. So just it doesn't have to not explode. There's just like in the notes section in the requisition form, there's please don't explode while I'm holding it. Because if it explodes while I'm holding it, then I'm going to be surprised, and that means that the data that I'm going to record is going to be trash.
Right, you're not going to be able
if it
to.
blows my hand off, I'm going to be focused on that. Like it's just me. It's my failing for being focused on my missing hand instead of the data. But there it is. Like that's just something that she's going to have to work through.
Well, the requisitions department will do their absolute best to note your requests and meet them accordingly.
The fun fact is that if it's her right hand, she will care slightly less, because some of it's not meat.
Oh, excellent. Love it. Love it. And from an enlightened science perspective, where are her focused areas?
She is in data, matter, and mind. Data, of course, because what the fuck am I doing if I don't? Matter, because she is focused on physical sciences. Like she understands medicine. She can collect biometric data. That's fine, but like that's not what she loves. So no dots in life. But matter, people are made of matter. We can collect statistics on how many pounds of meat someone is currently, and then how many pounds of meat they are after the detonation. Like that's very easy, and that's something that we ought to do.
I'm so glad we're all building this consensual reality together.
And all of this really needs to be hands-free, so because maybe sometimes she doesn't have both of her hands. And so that's where the mind comes in, because this information needs to be streamed. And she also needs to be able to make manipulation to it sort of on the fly, as well as to sometimes be able to stick electrodes on another agent's head and read what's going on a surface level. Like there's no real need to collect data on what specifically they're thinking, but if their fear response has just maxed out the meter, that's useful information, and we will definitely have that. In the chat, Shen is asking about her foci.
I was just realizing that we should either in our characters, which I should go back on it, or afterward go through it, specifically concentrating on the way focus works and the way that each of the characters uses focus, because I think that would probably be really helpful to the audience, as Shane just pointed out.
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. That is a beautiful focus, a beautiful set of foci actually that you have right there. I see the tie. I see what's going on. Yeah, let's once we get the rail of sort of the overview. Let's talk a little bit about practices and how they gel. And speaking of which, you had mentioned you have some replacement parts, some not entirely meat pieces in the agent. What are those?
Are you ready for this?
Yeah, I am.
Is the fucking chat ready for this?
I hope so.
If you say
So-
plasma cannon, I'm gonna fall in love.
Finger guns.
I'll take it.
I'm not fucking kidding.
Yes, what was it? The LLFP-15 or AR-15 or yes.
Perfect. I love it. But only if you go at least once during the course of this stream.
I love having bisexual members of the Technocracy. It's so
And yeah, on that note, are there any other things that either your fellow agents or the audience at home should know about your agent?
It is probably going to be no surprise to anyone at this point that her demeanor is machine. She's going to put in those hours. She's going to get that data. The data may be somewhat incomplete or skewed because she's missing her hand during the data collection process, but it's okay. She'll get a new one. She already has number 2 on her right hand, so that's okay. It will probably come as also no shock that her nature's mad scientist, because
Excellent. Cool. Digging it. All right. So next up, let's Jax give us sort of the pertinence of your character, the build, and yeah, let's start with the build and then get into the enlightened science chunk after.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about Alison Green. Her concept is heart of gold. Demeanor is bon vivant, nature is idealist. She's just a really nice person to be around. I mean, she has a charisma of 4 and an appearance of 4. She's very perceptive. She's not exactly talented on the physical side of things, but you know, she really makes up for it by just being someone you want to be around. I think her single most trained ability is etiquette. She has an etiquette of 4. She also has an empathy of 2, leadership of 2, and academics of 3. So she's really the sort of person who you want in a situation where you need to talk to someone and you need to make that person like you. That is her deal. Is, oh, hello, I'm Allison. What's your name? It's a wonderful name. Would you like to sit down and we can discuss what just happened?
Oh, this is going to be fun.
So I think I might actually drop a point of manipulation because she has a manipulation of 3, but I think I might drop that and put the last point in charisma so that she has a charisma of 5, because she's just nice. She's weaponized niceness. Like, she doesn't think of herself as weaponized niceness, but
No, of course
she
not.
is the
We're the
Technocracy's
Technocracy.
weaponized niceness. What?
I said, of course not. We're the Technocracy. We don't weaponize anything.
Of course not.
We're the nice guys.
Except weapons.
Right, except actual weapons.
Yeah. So in terms of backgrounds, well, you know, she's really nice and she gets along really well with her colleagues. So she has a backup of 3.
Excellent.
She also, you know, Agent Kiga has been very helpful, and she's made some contacts in Iteration X, and there's this hit mark she just gets along with really well, and who will show up if she asks nicely. So she has an allies of 4, and there will be a hit mark NPC.
Beautiful.
Which I am very excited about. I haven't named him yet, but there. I don't know if you want to name him or you want me to name him, but
I look forward to their name. Yeah.
Absolutely.
For the new audience at home, hey Rachel, what is this hit mark?
Who? What?
What?
Wait, is it not Rachel Green?
No, it's Alison.
Alison Green.
Crap.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, we're at a different game.
So a hit mark is a Terminator. She just has a Terminator that she's really close friends with. He's really nice.
It came after her when she was a small child, you see.
His name is not Cheers, but it might be something similar.
Gaston, that's a beautiful name.
Gaston. Gaston, the hit mark.
No one shoots like Gaston.
Oh,
puts down boots like Gaston.
Smashes millions of mooks like Gaston.
Yeah, right.
Oh God, we're gonna filth the shit out of that, aren't we?
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's happening.
So she has a genius of 3. So her arete is actually 3. I don't know if anybody took an arete of 3 or higher, but her arete is 3, so she's actually decently powerful. Her primary sphere is mind, because duh.
Right.
She is an NWO agent, and therefore her primary focus is on getting into the minds of other people. She does have a firearms of 2, so I took a correspondence 1 and forces 1. And an interesting little note for those of you playing along, she has an entropy of 1.
Okay.
She's not really sure why.
Just a little something she's picked up.
As far as she can tell, she had a normal upbringing. Like, of course, you always feel like you're missing something, but she had a normal upbringing with a normal family and got a scholarship to, go to UPenn or whatever, and was recruited by the Technocracy from there after getting a degree in communications. So yeah.
Excellent.
Anything else I want to talk? Oh yes, so I have some fun flaws that I want to talk about.
Oh, by all means.
That's okay.
Yeah.
So first of all, Alison has nightmares. They actually trouble her pretty badly. She does take medication to sleep because her nightmares are caused enough of an issue. She also has rose-colored mirror shades, which is the technocratic version of rose-colored glasses. And the Technocracy is just trying to do the best by the biggest number of people. Just because somebody wants unicorns doesn't mean they should have them. If that would destroy, a village in South America, people are worth more than whatever the hell the reality deviants want.
I'm loving this.
And finally, she has a demented eidolon.
Excellent.
For those of you who don't know what that is, essentially her genius or her avatar occasionally tries to poke her into doing things she doesn't want to. And
not a good companion on this journey to enlightenment. Would that be fair to say?
Luckily, she has this other wonderful companion who's a hit mark.
Good. Good.
Nothing will go wrong.
Is there any other item that you feel that the rest of the party or the audience should know beyond that?
I'm looking at my foci right now, and they're pretty much all what you would expect, like computer tools, devices and machines, drugs and poisons, eye contact, blah, blah, blah. She also has body work because I also kind of like the idea of her being able to soothe people and get information out of people with doing things like massages.
Okay.
Like, consensually.
Sure, right.
So the casual shoulder touch, right?
Yes.
Hey.
As
She's
opposed
not
to
a creep about it.
as opposed to like a Vulcan nerve pinch.
No, not a Vulcan neck pinch.
Yeah, it's way more of a Void Engineer trick. And speaking of the Void Engineers, so Drew, give us the breakdown.
Sure, of John Johnson. So yes, John Johnson.
I love that. That sounds totally like something that you would name someone that came out of a vat.
Yeah,
that's John Johnson.
That's where John Johnson. John Johnson is a cloned, engineered human that developed some enlightenment, and now the Void Engineers are like, what do we do with it? It's supposed to be a mook. Go train it some. And so yes, he has the kid nature and the conformist demeanor. Actually, because I got a preview of Jack's character sheet, I went and found rose-colored mirror shades because poor John Johnson, he was raised in a nice little void engineered facility, off-site, off-world, off the mud ball, as I have learned. Thank you for the slang chat. And realize that, the technocracy, this great thing, is not actually the reality for most people, and we need to save them. And so John Johnson totally volunteered to help bring safety and consensus to the masses. Yes, so he is a void engineer. He is heavy in the physical stats. He has 4 strength, deceptive strength, and 5 dexterity and 3 stamina. That's because, he is gene engineered. His social is kind of average down the line, 2. Mentally, though, very perceptive guy, 4 dots. Decent wits, 3, and for those of you doing the math at home, it means he has an intelligence of 1.
Oh no, buddy.
Yeah, no, he is. Yes, this entire time, just go ahead and just acknowledge that John Johnson is just not going to pick up on some things, or not know quite what to do. So he's going to look at the more experienced agents for advice and suggestions, and talent-wise, abilities-wise, very low on the knowledge, mediocre in the talents, lots of skills that are built around melee weapons, energy weapons, some technology, some stealth and melee. Spheres-wise, I do have a question because, this I will bring to the group. I have 3 in forces, 2 in matter, and I've got this one other dot sitting around and I'm going, I don't know what to do with it.
What's your retype?
3.
Okay, cool.
Yes, because he is, like I said, he came out and they're like, what do we do with him? Because he's
correspondence, maybe?
Dimensional science.
Dimensional science.
Yeah, avoid it.
I mean, forces is one of the affinities here, so I leaned into that because forces plus matter. I'm just gonna say, come by my Twitter at Lonrem and see the GIF that Hiromi tweeted at me, and just the words, all triggers locked, and we'll just it is gonna happen. It is gonna happen one way or another. But stuff can happen. Stupid stuff can happen.
That is like the best movie ever.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. So yes, he has 3 dots in genius, 2 dots in enhancement for strength and stamina, requisition of 2, and then he has 3 dots in cloaking, because they figure putting the brand new guy out into the world with a bunch of laser weapons and not the brightest bulb in the shed. Wait, no. I know this goes a different way. So yes, he has cloaking. So yeah, when he flips the car, you're gonna notice him. But trying to describe him later, his name was John Johnson, and he was of moderate height and weight, and I don't know.
Is male
And-
between 5'5" and 6'6".
Yep.
He
And
weighed pounds.
he had weight. He was in a suit. But and yes, he has the to match the rose-colored mirror shades flaw. He does have the poker face merit.
I love it.
Which is basically just him screaming internally, going, "What the hell is going on here?" But it's fine. It just doesn't show on his
Right,
face. It's just
Oh,
very
John,
calm.
you're just so wonderful. I'm so proud of you for staying calm under pressure.
Yes, 100%. I think that's pretty much him. Yeah, his instruments are armor and cybernetics and devices and nanotech and weapons.
Love it.
So yeah, him and Agent Higa, we gonna get along.
Is there anything? Is there anything else that you would like to sort of make sure that the audience or the rest of your amalgam is aware of?
I'm absolutely crap at actual normal firearms. If it's not an energy weapon that goes, pew, give me a crowbar. I will hit the crowbar because I actually have 3 dots in melee and I have 0 dots in firearms. Because why would I ever use such an unsophisticated, unruly weapon? It's so loud when it fires off.
A slug thrower? What? What is this? The Dark Ages?
Yep.
Excuse me, I like the elegance of a technocratic handgun. Thank you very much.
Still too loud. That's it. Yes. Also does have.
On the other hand, they are loud.
I was looking at. There's a merit, I believe, if I remember correctly, about the and applying that to extra damage and I was like very, very tempted until I realized, or I could just put 4 dots in energy weapons.
Yeah. That's a rote.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Totally.
I guess.
Stabby.
Right.
Yeah, I guess it could apply to laser guns with the.
Oh sure. Yeah. There are multiple ways to skin the barrel of that weapon.
Yes.
That's
John Johnson.
Beautiful. And so, in all that discussion, Abby, are you getting some inspiration, some ideas, following along?
Yes, tell us about your fully fleshed out character.
Any thoughts?
No.
Awesome.
I think it's probably gonna be something that I just have to spend more time with Seder about.
Totally cool. Do you have any questions that you want to fire off about what we've just discussed? Are you somewhat following along with the conversation?
Yeah, so I'm trying to understand the reasoning, or I guess I mean I get it, like when you put more certain points into different characteristics and everything, but it seems like it maxes out at 8 or dots at least.
Maxes out at 5 dots. Arete goes up to 10. The spheres go up to 5.
Yeah, generally speaking, it's a maximum of 5. It's Arete and willpower, and your primal energy can be kind of all over the place.
Okay. Yeah, because I've been just trying to take a bit of notes and, getting the the information for all of the characters.
There's a lot to follow, but fortunately, this will also be on YouTube once we have completed our broadcast very shortly thereafter. So we can always come back and reference back to it, and obviously, if you have any questions, absolutely speak up.
I like the personalities of everyone so far. It's always hard to, make sure that you have a decent group to play with, or
I'm
you
so
have
glad.
that one.
We're gonna be such friends.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's hard because I know people who are literally the assholes of the group. Am I allowed to say that?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Fuck yes.
Fuck
Yeah,
yes.
I believe we said yeah.
Of the group. And they're always trying to cause trouble and everything. So it's nice to know that doesn't seem like the group. Anyone's like that in this group. Don't, Andrew, don't.
I don't know the system enough to play. Yes.
No, but honestly, like I think I'm really excited to flesh out, what I want as a character and be able to play this, because I've only known about like so many great things, and just listening to all the different characteristics of the different characters now, it's going to be hard to like try to just choose one thing and be happy with that.
That's often the hardest.
Oh wait, I think I want those powers too. So I'm like,
I have that problem all the time.
I'm trying not to be too bad when it comes to that kind of stuff. So.
And for context for the folks who are watching or who'll be watching this later, Abby came into this group like 2 days ago because Abby is replacing somebody who had to drop out, which is why, in case anybody's wondering, why is there this person who doesn't know anything about Mage? Because Abby and Hiromi and I are old friends and collaborators.
A long time.
We had somebody drop out. We had somebody drop out unexpectedly, and Travis said, does anybody know anybody? And I was like, let me ask my friend Abby. So that's Abby has been dropped into the deep end of the pool here, just like really, like, again, 2 days ago, and
has jumped in like a rock star, and I cannot thank you enough for doing so.
Yeah, I'm so excited about this, so I can't wait to blow people's minds.
Well,
I think that's kind of the fun thing with this group too, is we have all different experience levels,
right?
Yeah, a whole bunch of different perspectives, and I think that's great.
I think that's what I was a bit worried about too, is coming in with like no experience. Like I am an avid like D&D-er, like, or just regular tabletop games in general. Like, most of the games that, we were playing before the world even happened was pandemic, so I kind of felt like it was my fault.
Yeah, but
I kind of like felt like we were doing some kind of sorcery.
Sure.
And so the world is in a pandemic right now. So getting a chance to do something completely different, completely out of my wheelhouse, and to explore this a little bit. I'm just teetering on the edge, obviously, but I just want to make sure I do everybody proud. That's it.
If you have a good time, you will be doing everyone proud. You come here and have fun.
Already.
That's all. That's all we ask. I do have one question for you, and this is just knowing that you have a D&D background. Is it
I'm
more,
like 3 miles away from Wizards of the Coast.
Is it more or less helpful if, for example, if I need to translate a concept to you, is it more or less helpful if I try to like slide it into D&D terms just to shorthand it? Absolutely, which.
Yeah, and I play World of Warcraft too. So like when somebody, Andrew, said that it's like guilds, I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. Cool. I get that.
Cool.
So,
Abby, sorry, go ahead.
I think I actually helped Sater when he started playing World of Warcraft, level his character. Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. You helped teach me how to play World of Warcraft years ago.
Yeah.
Cool. And I know
so this will definitely be your chance, like trying to teach me the ways of Mage. And I've only like heard amazing things about it. So I'm just glad that I finally have the time, mainly, and the experience. And that's another thing. Like my schedule was just so busy before the pandemic actually happened, that I've had a lot more free time, that I'm actually able to do stuff. I'm pretty sure once all of this is over, like I will not be able to do any of the D&D games that I've been playing, for the past couple of weeks, and I'm like absolutely enjoying myself. So I'm excited for this experience, and to like actually be able to play with other people. That's one of the main reasons why I like D&D so much, and any of the other tabletop games, is it's not you're sitting behind a computer yelling at people through Ventrilo or something.
I am going to point out I am missing my WoW raid for this.
Well,
Thank you.
tell your whole guild we appreciate it.
My kid just got on WoW to go and raid himself. So
I'd just like to point out that chat is very proud of you, Abby.
yes.
Chat is giving you a very
Seriously, I
warm
need the
welcome.
encouragement so much.
Well, they do love you in chat, and they're looking forward to seeing the new player experience. So again,
Yeah.
I adore
Very
having a spectrum of experience at the table, and I think it's just going to make things a bit more fun for everyone. And but on that note, I do want to make sure that we touch base on the practices, the foci for Marks and for Agent. I'm gonna get it one of these days. I thought I saw it typed in front of me.
Agent Kiga.
Higa.
Kira.
Yes.
H, I believe.
Higa.
Higa.
I got it.
Thank you. I want to make sure we get those practices before I forget to get those practices. Did you have a question, Abby? No?
Who had question? What?
I thought I heard Abby say something. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was saying Toshiko Kiga.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
So yes. So Marks, practices.
So for folks who are not familiar yet with Mage 20th anniversary, in Mage 20, we took the old idea of focus as I wave my focus in order to do this thing, and expanded it to encompass paradigm, practice, and instruments. Focus is how you do what you do. The combination of the belief, the action, and the tools. Not all of those tools are physical. Actually, many of them are not. But in Mage 20, focus equals paradigm plus practice plus instruments equals focus. And in terms of Marks, her primary, dig that up again. Her primary focus is a combination of physical strength and endurance, physical prowess and social manipulation. In game terms, her paradigm is a combination of transcend your limits, for might is right.
Oof.
And essentially what that means in Mage 20 terms is she is constantly and has been taught to constantly push beyond, because that is the only way in which you become, well, better than everybody else. Because if you are better than everybody else, then you have won the right to dominate everyone else, and not dominate in a whips and chains sort of way, but in a dominating in terms of, okay, that's it. I'm the one who's here. I'm the one who's in charge because I have won the right to be that person. Interestingly enough, she is not the leadership type, which is where Jack's character comes in. And so Marks is perfectly okay with letting the leader lead, as long as Marks is able to continue to learn and to grow so that she can eventually be better in that regard as well. Practices, her practices are a combination of the art of desire and hypereconomics, which is what she was initially trained with, which is the practice of knowing what people want, knowing how to get them to want what you want them to want.
And how to give it to them.
And how to give it to them. As well as hypereconomics, which is understanding that ultimately reality is commerce. The more you understand about what people want, the more you can manipulate the reality around that through commerce. As an additional practice on that is dominion. I'm superior.
God. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
But it's dominion. Simply put, I'm better. I've earned the right to be better. And
sounds like our world today.
The what? Sorry?
Sounds like our world today.
Yeah.
Just once, I just want to hear, just you 47 punks against Kung Fu Marks?
That's actually sort of how one of the inspirations for this character, but I'll get to that in a second.
People's consensus is deep spread.
But her primary focus, or her primary practices rather, are invigoration, which is intense physical training, and martial arts, which is perfection, not merely of the ability to kick somebody's ass, but an understanding of the ways in which you are proving you're using combat techniques to overcome the opponent before striking a punch. She also occasionally uses hypertech when necessary, because any tool that's useful is useful. Her instruments then, bodywork, as Jax mentioned earlier, eye contact, whereas although Marks doesn't work the way that Jacqueline does with an enchanting gaze, it's more like a just...
Right, punk?
Yeah, exactly. The dirty hairy eye contact. Technically dance and movement, which is katas and martial arts. Energy, because she uses both her own life force to manipulate the life force of others. Fashion, because no matter what the situation is, she manages to look good in it. Mass media, which is part of her secrets, and people will learn more about that over the course of the game. Meditation, because before you can conquer others, you must conquer the blocks and the obstacles within yourself. Money and wealth, which is part of that secret. Social domination, which we've already talked about, and weapons, because she knows how to use them.
Yeah.
Sweet. Sounds like a wonderful stack, and spoken like a true child of the Syndicate. In many,
Can
many
I go through
regards.
my foci after Hiromi?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Let's get. I'll have it before the end of the session, I swear. Alex, I don't see it typed in front of me. Did you type your character's name in the chat? Hiromi? Higa.
Higa.
Yes.
Agent Higa.
Wait for it. Yes.
Like, hold on.
Let's go through Agent
There it
Higa's
is.
paradigm.
I was looking at the same thing.
Didn't you ask for people to type their names in the chat?
I did, and you were the only one who did.
Oh, did I not? Okay.
So please, Agent Higa, your paradigm,
So
your practices, your foci.
I have not fleshed out Agent Higa's focused or foci as much as Seder has. I still need to work a little bit more, but as would come as utterly no surprise, her practice is her main practice is hypertech, because tech holds all answers.
That's fair.
She's big on constructing test frameworks in order to analyze both situations and hypertech that's being introduced into the field. So, like, constructing the test framework is one of the ways that she engages with the technology and the world around her. She's
like the actual setting of the parameters, or observing of what the parameters are in a given situation.
Yeah, because if you just throw like an antimatter bomb onto somebody and you go, that was fucking rad, that's not science.
Right.
If
It's rad,
you go,
but it's not science.
Let's put the Mythbusters quote. Oh my gosh. It's not science unless you're writing it down.
So, like,
It's not rad. That would mean there's radiation.
I mean, gamma radiation is a byproduct of matter-antimatter annihilation reactions, so
Well,
there is
you would
some
know best.
rad. But everything is sort of about creating a framework of data around what she wants to study.
Okay.
In addition to that, I went through several of the fun foci that she has on her person in terms of instruments.
Right.
And I'll continue plugging away and playing with other ways that she's going to focus her practice and sort of interrogate the world through the lens of hypertech science, because it's all about the gadgets, but the gadgets need to produce data.
Right.
If like Drew said it, and I think Adam Savage also
That's
said
the
thing.
quote.
The difference,
Yes.
yeah, the difference between goofing off in science is writing it down.
I love it. Cool. And Jax, you wanted to talk about Agent
Love
Green's practices.
Agent Green, as I mentioned earlier, very strongly believes in the practices of the technocracy. And really, what you need to know is that the cosmos is mechanistic and tech holds all the answers. Because in order to create the safest and most, what's the word I'm looking for? A world that can nurture the potential of all humans and not just reality deviants, you need to be able to understand how to work with that world and shape that world and build that world. So those are her paradigms, are a mechanistic cosmos, and tech holds all the answers. Her genius has some paradigms too, but she doesn't really listen to it because sometimes her genius says some things and she's like, what the fuck are you on about? And then tries to ignore it. And then nightmares happen and then it's bad. But we're going to move on from that because that'll come up later in play. Her practices are very similar to Marx's in that she has hyper-economics, dominion, and reality hacking. Again, she's very into... She doesn't want everything to be under her control necessarily, but if her presence will soothe the room and calm it and make things easier for everyone else, then she's very happy to go about doing that. Because really, you're not trying to lead people around by the nose. You're just trying to create a world where people can be their best selves. You know, people can really reach their full potential. And that's very, very important to her. She also does have hypertech as a paradigm because she does work with people like Agent Higa and does have a NWO issued handgun that is one of the weird slightly magical woogity technocracy handguns. So she does work with tech at all. Her instruments are bodywork. She has a brain-computer interface. She actually does have a chip in her head that causes her to be able to work with a certain amount of hypertech. She uses computer tools, devices, and machines, drugs and poisons, which is also going to be very helpful because we have a member of the progenitors here. You know, actually being able to channel my magic through something created by our progenitor friend will be very useful. Eye contact, again, less of Marx's, stare and more of, so happy to be here. And, just making everybody feel really warm and cared for. Also, staring contest, whoever wins makes John go buy the coffee.
John has already left to go get the coffee.
Love it.
Fashion, management, and HR. These should be pretty obvious. Social dominations, words and vocalizations, and weapons. She's also, interestingly, very drawn to, and these aren't her instruments, but she's very drawn to books and dance and ordeals. And, maybe they're a hobby. She really enjoys getting very invested in things.
Okay.
And, being invested in things is part of her personality because she is very, very invested in the technocracy and very, very invested in, just being part of this group. And at the end of the day, learning more about people just sometimes takes different forms. But it's really weird when your genius is trying to nudge you into doing things, and wow, I really don't like having intrusive thoughts, and maybe I should take more sleep medication tonight.
That's all fair. And excellent. One note that I want to make sure to convey to everyone regarding practices, paradigms, foci. Little update that the Union has available to it as of Technocracy Reloaded. Something that all of your characters may be able to access, and those storytellers in the audience get a little sneak preview of, and may decide how much or how little you want to incorporate this little element into your games. You will likely all have a standard issue ES phone, an Enlightened Science smartphone. And one of the benefits to having that ES phone is that periodically you can, if need be, download an app for that. So if you are in a corner and you need an apparatus and there's just not anything working, if you can find a way to make that work through a cell phone app, or at least BS yourself into believing it works through a cell phone app, that is something that you do have access to. They also can do handy things if you have the proper Enlightened Science, such as, give you access to the digital web, or, to the various scanning devices that the Technocracy has, Manar, things along those lines. So I wanted to throw that out there as something to think about. Something to be able
standard
to...
with a head strap, so that you can use them as VR devices.
Right, you can just strap them to your face. Yeah, exactly.
Which reminds me, what is our standard? What's our standard field gear equipment? Is that something that you be taking care of? That be something that we should select what gear our characters carry? I mean, that's not wonders, but that's just the sort of the things that as field agents we are equipped with because field agents.
You would each be supplied with probably the the X5, the sort of standard issue sidearm. You would each be probably supplied with some level of standard clothing, whether that be realistically, everyone would either have, I would assume, a black suit or a second skin, one of those two things. So actually, in terms of your, did you incorporate the armor into your wardrobe, Sater?
Yeah, the Falcone suit also acts as armor, but it's not like field armor.
Right, but and that's also like a pumped up, like it has other neat.
Yeah, it has a lot of other stuff.
Right,
yeah.
so you can always dumb it down and just throw on a straight up regular black suit. You would have that available, but why would you?
Is that like the Men in Black suit? Because I have one of those.
That's true. You play a? Yeah, that's right.
Bad guy.
Well, I'm not saying that I would be over the moon if you wore that next week, but I would totally be over the moon if you wore that.
Totally do that.
Wow. Since you say that, I might have to get my black suit.
So yeah, those would be kind of your standard issue things. If there's, as far as like mundane equipment, you would probably have whatever sort of computers. Getting a hold of mundane stuff, not going to be difficult. Getting a hold of a mundane vehicle is totally fine. Anything beyond that, if you wanted like one of the Spectre lines, you would need to use your requisitions for that sort of thing. And you can also pool your requisitions dots if you so choose as an amalgam to get some next level. Thanks to Agent Higa's nice healthy base that has been built for requisitions. Throwing extra dots at that can get pretty fun, but I'm willing to run with it. The other thing that I wanted to just touch base on is we are sort of running out of time for the session 0. Want to make sure that I get this conveyed is unless there are any objections from the players, I would like to set our tale in the Bartlett construct located in picturesque Wisconsin Dells, Wisconsin.
Well, I can't wait to get some cheese curds.
Named after the owner of or founder of most of the attractions in the Dells, Tommy
Can't
Bartlett.
believe you're going to make me be Minnesota nice, Travis.
And there's a couple of reasons for
God.
this that I want to convey to you as well as convey to the audience. I was born about 40 minutes away from the Dells in Wisconsin, in rural Wisconsin myself. And I feel that I have a responsibility as a steward and storyteller that if I'm going to be mocking human ignorance, that I should do it a place that I'm from. And as we discuss in Technocracy Reloaded, one of the greatest enemies Technocracy faces is that of human ignorance, be it willful or through manipulation. And that will, of course, be a villain of this story, but certainly not the only one. We have some things planned. And on the bright side, that also gives us access to several of the largest water parks in the world. So those should make for some fun combat scenes.
Nice.
Before we part ways for the evening, does anyone have any questions, comments, complaints, or concerns? Anything they feel that we did not get a chance to touch on? Yes, Jax.
I actually have a question for the chat because I want to see what they're most excited for right now.
Oh, absolutely. Chat, please. Let us know. What are you most excited for? What do you want to see? Anyone else have any questions, comments, complaints, or concerns?
No, I mean, I can talk about my foci next week.
Did I not? I thought I got your foci.
Okay, now.
Oh, no. As anybody who has watched Occultist Anonymous knows, I love my cliffhangers. If you want to find out what John Johnson's foci are, come by next week.
What Drew doesn't realize is he's inviting me to start next week's game with a fight involving John Johnson, but that's fine.
Though I did want to point out, because I forgot, I do have 3 dots in blatancy. I am going to be that guy.
But so wait, you have 3 dots in cloaking and 3 dots in blatancy?
Blatancy, the talent.
Ooh.
Right.
Yeah, so
because I'm not great at social, but I will walk. Oh yeah. No, that's just swamp gas, guys. Nothing to worry about, and they will forget about the agent who just told them about the swamp gas reflecting the moonlight and
running down the street, guns akimbo with energy weapon, like rifle-sized energy weapons, going, "There's nothing to see here."
Oh yeah. That's true. We do need to
Special
discuss.
government agent, out of the way, citizens. It's just a movie. There's nothing to be concerned about.
Do need to discuss dual wielding rifles now that you bring that up.
I mean, I'll allow it.
We'll figure that out.
You get that thing where like the rifle strap, like get an ultralight rifle, get the thing where the rifle straps to your bicep.
Oh no, I'm thinking Schwarzenegger. Just
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
That
just
was
hefting it.
something that one of the I don't know which publisher cut it, but that was cut out of the Book of the Fallen, was the FU 666, which was a ridiculously huge gun that part of the procedures involved in using it was that it violates the physics involved in it violate the laws of conventional physics, but it looks really big and really cool, so nobody questions it.
Nobody questions it.
Big
Right.
gun.
I have one of those on my wall. Yes, absolutely.
I didn't even notice that got cut.
Yeah, I don't know why it got cut, but I was just like, I wasn't going to argue about it. It's going to be in Fallen Companions, but that's just this is the huge Schwarzenegger, or Warhammer 40K gun that would be absolutely impossible to lift, much less to shoot. But the guy's like got one in each hand.
It's not something that a normal person could live, but an enlightened agent of technocracy knows that weight is just it's a suggestion.
Right.
It's a
Yeah.
guideline.
Weight is just a number.
Weight is just a factor to take into account.
Just the number.
Mhm.
Yes. Weight ain't nothing but a number.
I don't like that. Let's X-card R. Kelly, right?
All right, no R. Kelly. We've had it. See, and you thought we were going to get through session 0 without the X card.
I did.
Damn it!
So, looking at the chat, looks like people are excited for the Technocracy, for Control, for Weaponized Hugs, which sounds fun. Finger guns.
Mind melding. Is mind melding going to happen?
Maybe.
Good.
We'll see. There's so many things.
I'm always
People seem
open
very
to mind melding for fellow agents who need any help.
excellent.
Okay, I appreciate this comment. Will there be one mission in deep space? Guys, we are only here for 4 sessions. Pace yourself. We're probably not going to hit everything, though hopefully.
Doesn't necessarily mean that there won't be a mission in deep space. We will begin our tale in, like I said, in the Bartlett construct in Wisconsin Dells, Wisconsin. And yeah, it should be a lot of fun. We're going to assume that the Avatar storm has not taken place, that plot did not occur. And were there any other sort of major issues or beats we haven't touched on? Any other questions, comments, complaints, or concerns? Cool. Well, I think that is sadly where we're going to need to part ways for this week. But next week we'll dive right in with the action, and we're going to start right off with John getting shot at. I think is how things are going to go. I'm not promising, but
Just another day.
excellent. Before we do run off, somebody asked in chat if Tommy Bartlett Water Show has a compound. Actually, what I was referring to is Tommy Bartlett's Robot World. If you're not familiar with that, you should Google it. It's a nice place. Does anyone? Let's just shoot the rail real quick. Abby, do you have anything that you would like to let the folks at home know about? Anywhere you'd like to point them at? Anything coming out or that has recently come out that you want to promote?
Oh my god. No, nothing right now. I mean, unfortunately, I was supposed to be working on a horror feature down in Portland as one of the main characters, but
Things have happened.
Gestures vaguely all of this.
Yeah,
This
I'm
has-
kind of sad about it.
This
but,
has
I
pumped
mean,
the
it is
brakes on the
okay.
film industry for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I had an Octavia Butler project that I was supposed to be actually Hiromi is a part of that project too. And you know, we have applied for like all of the grants, and everything has been put on hold. You know, so we're kind of just wading in the water right now just to see what's going to happen this year, if anything's going to happen this year. So I mean, nothing new for me. I was in Journey Quest 3.5, so I'm hoping that'll come out soon. And with Seder, we were both on the story team for Strowlers, and you know, currently working on a Strowlers Nigeria / Africa.
Yeah, and
version. So
Strawlers is on Amazon right now, right?
it is.
Go
Strawlers
watch-
is on Amazon.
Go watch Strawlers
and
on
the
Amazon.
Fantasy Network.
Yeah,
And it's on the
Fantasy
Fantasy Network too. Yeah.
there you have something.
which Abby is also involved with.
You have something
Yeah,
you can
I'm
plug.
on the board of the Fantasy Network too.
There you go.
And
Lots of things you can chill for.
Do those
Oh,
things.
Yeah.
Audience
Abby.
at home.
is Black and Blue still available, and where can people get that?
Yes, Black and Blue is still available. It is on, if you want to support Black and Blue and our team. Hiromi is also in Black and Blue because I just need them in everything that is a part of my life. Love you. That is on Amazon. You can find that on Amazon. Or if you just want to see what it's about, it's on YouTube at tiny.cc/Black and Blue the series, and it's literally a bunch of people of color, and we're sitting around a beautiful table eating tons of stereotypical food. We even had Popeye's chicken in there once. So no watermelon just yet, but next time. And I see you, Travis. They're all really wonderful personalities, every single one of these people that I got a chance to do this project with. And we're honestly hoping to do more. It's just, trying to get funding, obviously. So, and a mutual place, so that we all don't have to go to the location that we went to before, because it was just really out of the way for all of us. But
The most mutual place.
yes, a very, very mutual place for all of us to be able to do it. So yeah, but I mean, that doesn't mean that hasn't stopped us from like trying to do our own projects and everything, but those projects are on hold, so yay.
Right on. Well, yeah, there's plenty of stuff to check out there. And what was it? Was it tiny.cc/Black and Blue the series?
Yeah,
I think I typed that wrong.
It's in chat.
The link's in the chat.
Okay, yeah.
The link in the chat is wrong.
The link in the chat is wrong.
Oh,
We'll get it to you in the doobly-doo on the things and the stuff. Otherwise, Google it. Google it. Hey, that is a Nerdfighteria thing, sir.
That Googles.
Yeah,
I just typed it in the Zoom chat. If anyone.
Oh, Black and Blue series. Okay.
Black and Blue series. Yeah. There's no the in there. So yes.
There we go.
There we go. That's better. All right. Yes, definitely check out all those things, and then if they go support that, then you'll have funding to make more. That's how that works.
Yeah.
That's what we're hoping for, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's how we make it happen. Drew, you got anything you want to tell the audience at home to check out?
You guys have 3 days until Friday. Every Friday. Mage the Awakening, Occultist Anonymous. That's the game I run normally, but I'm getting to be a player this week. This is the last one of our little Richmond, Virginia mini series. If you haven't been watching it, it's fine. I don't hold it against you. I know everybody prefers when I'm storytelling. And you're all ready for me to get back to it, which will be next week. We will be coming back with episode 100. This will be season 2. We are starting not fresh, but we're coming back after a 6-month gap. So this Technocracy stuff is Mage the Ascension. I am playing and running Mage the Awakening, which is the other one. There's not a better or worse one. They're different.
This is. I would like to thank you for coming to this stream and healing whatever rifts may have happened.
Right, I know. We're going to bring the hugs in. But yeah, and so that's Friday nights right here. Onyx Path. That's at, oh my gosh, what time? 7 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, we will have the finale for a little mini series thing that we've been doing. If you want to come watch, cool. If you haven't been caught up, obviously you're going to be jumping in the middle of it. But next week we'll same time the Technocracy really starts, and then you can come in Friday, join us for Mage the Awakening. We're going to be catching up after a 6-month in-character time gap. So we're going to have, everything's going to be kind of new. We got the same characters. We have new character art, which is freaking fantabulous. And yeah, no, I'm super excited. Next week is literally going to be a big new change, and I'm totally not prepped.
Well, I look forward to seeing that. That alone is reason to tune in, folks. Friday night. Jax, do you have anything you want to share with the class about things coming up? Things just came up.
Sure do. You can find me. Oh, sorry. You can find me on Twitter at RuffleJax. You can find me on itch.io as RuffleJax. You can find me on DriveThruRPG as Jacqueline Brick, spelled the same as it is here in this video. because people spell it Burke or Brike, and it's very weird, and I don't like it, but that's
Feel
okay.
your pain.
Yeah. You can find me on Patreon as L'Atelier de Apocalypse. I will put that in the chat because it's French, because I
Please
wanted
do.
to be pretentious, and that's fine.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah. You can also find me on JacquelineBrick.design, which is sort of my CV resume collection website thing where I have all of my interviews with people and all of the things I do. So please feel free to come check me out on that as well. I will put links in the chat. And thank you all so much for watching.
Thank you. Hiromi, what you got in the chamber?
This Saturday and likely many Saturdays afterwards.
Every Saturday for the rest of your natural days.
Every Saturday.
Continue.
Every Saturday until, things happen and I'm released from the Pact. I'll be playing Scarred Lands. And Scarred Lands, if you're not aware, is a grim bright setting for D&D. All sorts of cool things happen there. The basic idea is that the Titanomachy from Greek mythology happened with different gods and titans, but the thing. And now the world is really weird, and there are pieces of some of the titans that are making the world very strange. Most notably the Blood Sea, which is a sea of blood because there's a big hunk of a titan down there that makes all the fucking water blood. My party is the nicest group of people in the entire world. So
Didn't your bard sing a song about finding piles of corpses with a spell?
Found the bodies, we found the corpses, and we buried them because we're respectful and nice.
What?
Waste of perfectly
it's
good
still
corpses.
it's still a grim setting. We're just very nice.
No, I love you all so much. You got to watch on Saturdays. It gives me life. I love you all so much. Please extend my love to the rest of the cast, by the way.
I will. And for that stream, my skin turns into green scales, which is fun. I'm gonna see if the chatbot will let me paste the link to my fiction. Hey, it does. So
it ate it.
It lied.
Well,
but
all right,
I can.
well.
Is that the one that you posted in Zoom?
I can paste it. I have the technology.
Aha.
Beat you to it, Drew.
So, in addition to all of the RPGs that I work on, I also write queer genre fiction. So that link is my Amazon author page where you see some of the books that I have short stories published in. Unnerving is all horror stories. Trinity is an anthology series with 3 women writers, 3 male writers, and 3 non-binary writers. So for a year, we wrote short stories, and you get to see them as they come out. And even though it did not start out as a queer project, well, like a 100% queer-focused project, it's gay, y'all.
Would you classify this as normal levels of gay or
Super gay?
I literally have a short story that I think is gonna come out in this month's book that is Be Fae, Do Crimes.
Oh, dude, I'm gonna have to hook you up with like my entire cast and just
Love it.
Oh yeah. And on that note, don't forget dear High Elves.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm still waiting. I'm in dear. Sorry.
A
Dear
nerve
High
has been
Elves
struck.
is a podcast that Abby and a bunch of other wonderful people have done that takes all of the tropes and parts of backstory and world building that have been built into fantasy RPGs, especially D&D Forgotten Realms, and then tears them apart because they fucking just had it coming.
Dark elves are awesome.
Yes.
Interestingly, I'm actually working on a LARP that explores fascists being in giant weirdos, and my current front runner for my fantasy fascists are high elves. So, yay! Fine, Petra.
Not to be confused with really high elves who are just pretty mellow. Have the munchies a little bit.
As one does.
As I realized that I have a poster of Waterdeep up here.
I got an X card and a weed joke. This has been a successful stream.
Yep.
Apologies. Continue.
Also, I love your Waterdeep poster, but that's because I love.
I love the Waterdeep poster so much. Sorry, I'm good.
Eberron is canonically better, but the Eberron book didn't come with a poster. So.
We all
Fight
love
you about Eberron.
we all love Waterdeep in our own special way.
Yeah.
A character who's currently in the sewers of Waterdeep, so there's that.
Yeah.
So was there any other links? That whole thing just we jumped a couple of sharks.
Yeah. Any place that you search for podcasts, type in Dear High Elves, and you'll find it there. We've been on hiatus because I've been super fucking stressed for a while. But
Reasons.
Because you're amazing and everybody wants you to do their things.
And we love you.
And we love you.
We love you. It's true. We all love you very much.
Yeah.
But
Take that.
I want to say that we have like 2 or 3 hours of content that you could just binge.
Sweet.
It's really, really funny. Like there's even a Dark Elves Matter stuff that goes in there. It's amazing.
And unlike a lot of roundtable discussion shows, this everything happens in character, and I cut out everything that isn't immediately awesome or doesn't pay off shortly afterwards. So we record for 3 hours.
Edited for comedy. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
3 hours cut down to 15-20 minutes. and I have ads in each of the episodes for some fictitious thing that exists.
The in-character ads.
Yes, in-character ads.
Love it.
For example, Chiportle, which
Oh wow.
it's not authentic orc cuisine, but it's kind of good enough.
That hurt right in the spot where my soul is supposed to be.
What are you guys doing? You're too late.
So great.
I don't want.
They're trying.
Did we just get raided by Gehenna? Thank you so much for the
We
raid,
did.
Gehenna.
Thanks, Gehenna.
Love you all.
I just want to point out that Gehenna Gaming coming in at the end of all things is very appropriate.
That's valid.
Brand.
Yeah.
That is valid on a number of levels.
They owe me a Mage of the Awakening one shot too. I need to chase them down about that.
They can see you.
They're here.
The virtual horror con, they're like, we'll do that. And I said, yeah, I'll do that. And I put that in the chat and they were like, we'll do it. And I
message me about that. That's all I can say about that. Just message me about that.
Yeah.
Seder,
should plug his thing.
before we go too far off the rails,
we are off the rails already. And this is session 0. Guys.
Seder, do you have anything that you want to plug today?
My Patreon. I have a Patreon, which is patreon.com Phil Brucato, which has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of entries of short fiction, previews of work, cut material, mini games, micro games, notes, music, me fucking around with one of my guitars and trying to make something that sounds interesting, commentary on various different projects, stuff that I have started and then abandoned and said, by the way, this is the stuff that you wouldn't see unless you were like me or something. So there, I have many different levels there, different levels of access, get you more and more and more and more stuff, which at the top level of access is a hour or two a month of video chatting with me about whatever you want. I also can be found on Twitter on Sodaros Brucato at Twitter, and I am part of the thing that I talk about on both Twitter and on my Patreon is my urban fantasy novel Non-White Wolf. Urban fantasy novel Red Shoes is preparing for release, and I will be keeping people updated and talking a whole lot about it because I want everybody to read it and buy it and stuff. And also compiling a collection of my self-owned short fiction, which actually turned out to be quite a bit, which is called Valhalla with a Twist of Leith. And I'm working with several voice actors to do an audiobook version of that, which, Abby, I want to talk to you about that if you have time. Not now,
Deals are being made right in front of your eyes, folks.
In real time.
Sorry, my son is
How it works.
This is the content you should subscribe for.
But yes, let me give you the links on that one. But my Patreon is full of stuffs.
I threw the Patreon link in chat. I am a proud supporter of your Patreon, by the way. And it's honestly like you're one of the most productive people I've seen on there in terms of just giving people stuff for what they do, as opposed to slackers like me who forgot to do their exclusive RPG project last month. So I'm doing 2 this month on my Patreon.
I've
No,
never
at least you're playing catch up.
Oh.
I think you're behind on posts.
There's an apocalypse in progress, Travis. I think we can forgive you for that.
Nonsense.
We can go wear dystopian style clothing.
Not nonsense. I pshaw at apocalypse stress. I spit and say not enough gun like the Saint of Killers at apocalypse stress. No, I wish I could blame it.
One of the micro games that's on my Patreon, which came out I think last month, I had come up with the idea. It's called Storm Shelter, and I'd come up with the idea in January before this whole thing about finding a shelter was, like our lives. And it's about a bunch of people who, in the middle of a potentially deadly storm, find themselves in a shelter and have to work together or probably die. And suddenly that became really fucking relevant.
Right. I really can't say very much about Dead Man's Rust for Scarred Lands, except that working on it has been a trip the last couple of months.
Dead Man's Rust is fun.
We all love it. When we're able to announce a little bit more about that adventure, everyone's going to go, oh, that must have been horrible. And we're all going to go, yeah. No, we're loving it. It's fun. Sorry, continue. Other things to promote?
Not right now.
Oh, rock and roll.
Well, this Mage Made Easy, but that's I've already mentioned that.
That's coming soon. I don't really have anything to promote. No, I'm kidding. We've got Technocracy Reloaded is this thing that we're doing that's on Kickstarter that a couple of us worked on. There's a Mage 20 you should probably check out. Please be sure to subscribe to this channel, follow us so you know when we go live, so on and so forth. Tomorrow at 1:30 Eastern, Seder, Hiromi, and I are going to be on Storytellers with Coffee, hosted by Rachel Judd and Kat Evans joining us, which is cool because she's working on Werewolf 5th. So we'll get to talk a little bit about that, I'm sure, as much as she's allowed to, which is probably to say I'm working on Werewolf 5th. But we'll be chatting about Mage again tomorrow, so make sure you tune in. Yeah, make sure you tune in for that. Thank you all so much for
so much coffee.
Lots of coffee. It's going to be way early for y'all. It's less early for me, but I want to really, from the bottom of my heart, thank my beautiful and amazing cast for joining. This is going to be
I get
so
to
much
be a
fun.
player. Like, are you kidding me? Sure.
Thank you for doing this, Travis, and thank you everybody for
seriously.
being involved.
No,
And
this
thank you
is-
everybody who's watching.
Yes, thank you, audience at home, for real.
As we
Putting
run
up
way
our
long.
25-minute digression.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, they
The bonus
happen,
to nobody being after this.
right? Yeah, that and
Look, nobody who's ever picked up a Mage book thought this stream was gonna be short.
That's true. They do know that we're a few chatty Cathys, to say the least.
When this came up, they're like, "Oh, we're gonna do this in a 2-hour block." I went,
No, we're not.
Mm.
We're close. We're close enough. And you know, and as I said when we had our earlier meeting, you know, I'm the Twitch programming coordinator. So if we go long, who are they going to complain to?
So I have gotten one message so far from my wife who's going, "Weren't you supposed to stop at 10?" I'm going, well, I mean, sort of his guidelines.
Extend my deepest apologies to your wife.
It's alright. She just wants to show me some stuff from video games.
Well, that's still important. My greatest
Oh, it
thanks
is.
to everybody
It is.
for joining.
It's the 6th love language.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think that one did
Yes.
get missed in the breakdowns. But yeah, thank you all so much for tuning in. I'm really looking forward to seeing where things go next week. Please go back Technocracy Reloaded on Kickstarter. We have announced the Unlikely Allies 2, I think, stretch goal, which allows us to add to the Technocracy Companion guidelines for incorporating cross-factional play with the Disparate Alliance, which is going to be interesting to sort out. So please go back it to the level where we have to figure out how to solve that problem. We will see you all again very soon. Thank you so much. Much love. Wash your hands. Be seeing you.
Yeah, stop touching your face. You.